Hey everybody, good night. We are here, the Juice Box Heroes. Right now, it's just me and Browse. PK is actually running a little bit late. He's got family stuff going on, so it's going to be us two taking you guys on this wild adventure that is the intro to the off season. Um, Again, guys, if you haven't already, please follow us and subscribe to us. We are just two now. We've hit the magical two more followers, and we'll hit the 100 followers on YouTube. I know for us little guys, that's a big thing, you know. So uh, any help, obviously, would be greatly appreciated. But I'm one of your hosts, Chris. I've got Browse with me again. Like I said, Browse, how was your weekend, man?
Whew. It was a mixed bag, my friend. Personally, we had a pretty fun little league scrimmage this week, but
Yeah, we did.
my Longhorns obviously do not look good in
Oh,
the swamp. They got smoked, so we'll see what the rankings look like tomorrow. Probably not good, and that's also going into the Red River Shootout. So, but anyway, it's enough about college football. Anyway, the rest of the weekend went fantastic, man. If you're an Astros fan and hate the Yankees, you're probably pretty happy right now because correct me if I'm wrong here, but the Blue Jays are up 2-0 on the
no, you're
Yankees
right.
right
You're right.
now. So yeah, you got to be happy about that. Anyway, we still got playoff baseball going on. So if you're a baseball fan, which if you're watching this show, I guarantee you are, still a lot of good baseball going, even though our Astros aren't there. And that's about it. Chris, how was your weekend, man?
Yeah, man, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. I mean, so it was a lot of baseball over the weekend. So, like I said, we did the practice on Friday. We had our scrimmage, and then we had our select practice immediately after our scrimmage. So I think we didn't leave the field until like 5:30. Um, but yeah, man, as far as today, man, today was a nice, cool, calm day. I mean, it's the first Sunday in about 2 months where I didn't have a doubleheader going on. So I actually got a chance to watch a little bit of football. My fantasy teams are killing it, and again, actually got a chance to sit down and really take in. I think we watched the MLB playoffs that are going on today. Again, like I said, to echo what you were saying, I understand it's not the Astros, but hey, first and foremost, we're fans of baseball itself, so it's a lot less stressful to watch somebody else's team. So, but yeah, so let's go
You're
ahead and
not
get it.
wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go ahead and get into this, man. I mean, so we kind of talked about this before we went live, kind of how we were going to structure this episode tonight. I mean, um, I feel like I mean, we're only what, maybe I would say a quarter, maybe halfway into the MLB playoffs right now. I mean, so I would like to think we probably still haven't. We're probably about maybe another month out before the actual air quote start of the off season. So I don't want to sit here and start breaking down, what free agents could be available, what trades they can make. I think this is going to be kind of more of like let's all come together and let's kind of tiptoe into the offseason pool as kind of like I guess that'd be the best way to say it. We did have some news over the since the last time we all got to hang out. The all-star shortstop, and I say that jokingly. Zach
With air
Short has
quotes.
decided that um, he would rather test free agency. So that's going to be a big blow to the offense. I mean, not really. I mean, he had a handful, a couple of pretty decent games. I mean, I know he was really big in that Dodger series. We talked about how
What I
big
was
that
about to
Dodger
say.
series was the last time we all got together. But hey, I mean, he was one of those guys that you signed for depth. Um, and he was one of those guys that, going into the season, I think as a fan, you were kind of like, I get why they signed him. I don't plan on ever seeing him. Well, jokes on us. We saw a lot of them because of all the injuries we had this season. Um, so Zach Short, I appreciate the few highlighted games that you had. I appreciate the great series you had in LA. And hey, best of luck with whatever team you sign next. So that's kind of where I'm at with him. What do you got, Bros?
No, it's Zach Short was a pleasant surprise for us, to be honest with you. Like I said, you touched on it. That Dodger series that we had, I mean, he was one of the pivotal pieces in that actually got us that sweep. And I feel like that was the pinnacle of our entire season was the sweep of the Dodgers when we were in LA. But you know, it's there was never a point where we were like, oh my God, we have to rely on Zach Short the entire time. It was at that point, you know, you had Jeremy Pena. Jeremy Pena got hurt. And then your only like fill in for that was going to be Chris, your favorite player, Mauricio Dubon, which he did definitely get in at short occasionally. But I mean, listen, Zach Short was at one time a really good shortstop. And I'm not saying that he's not now, but he's first of all, he's not a starter. Okay. So I mean, don't think of Zach Short, you know, him going into the offseason being like, I elect free agency. Like he's not going to be the starting shortstop for any major club. I mean, maybe the Rockies, maybe I don't even know. You know what I mean? It's like possibly for one of those fringe bottom teams, but other than that, he's going to be depth at best. So hey, you gave us a whole lot with when you were on the roster. So Zach, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Best of luck to you with whatever team you land on. And hey, guess what? If you don't land on another team and you come back to us, we'd love to have you in Sugarland and then call you up whenever we need it. But with the acquisition of Correa coming back to the team, he can slide into short anytime if Pena gets hurt. So chances are we're not going to see Zach Short again.
Don't you start
So
that now. Don't you start that now.
thank you for your service, Zach Short, and you know, good luck in the future.
Yeah, I mean, again, I mean, like he was one of those guys. I mean, you know, and I don't like to talk down on. He's just a depth piece. I mean, the guy's playing Major League Baseball. You know, I mean, so he's living the dream. You know,
Absolutely. Neither one of us
yeah. I
played
mean,
professional
so
baseball.
yeah. I mean, I would personally, I'm trying to save second base open for another guy that we could have as depth. That's just me. I don't think we need to name any names. I think everybody and their grandma knows who that is. But you know, again, you know, like we said, you know, thanks for your contributions in LA, Zach Short. But now we will transition to some pretty crappy news. You know, so uh, Luis Garcia, it was reported, I think it was either yesterday or the day before, had successful Tommy John surgery, and he will miss all of 2026. And I mean that sucks. I mean it freaking sucks. I mean
It's
because this was
terrible
a guy
news.
that he just came back from Tommy John. Um, you know, and he was one of those guys that, you know, he was part of that group, him and Lance McCullers, Spencer Arrighetti, Christian Javier, that group of guys that were coming off the injured list that you were kind of looking at, hey, you know, let's see what these guys can give us. Maybe they can give us enough that'll carry us, you know, into the playoffs and maybe if everything works well into a deep playoff run. You had, you know, Garcia came back, made a couple starts, and then he had that one start where everybody saw him throw that. I think it was like an 82-mile-an-hour fastball, and you know, you saw him, you know, immediately wave for the medical staff, and that was pretty much all she wrote. So the the crappy thing about it is that the Astros only have him under team control this year and next year. So I'm probably gonna go on a limb and say that Luis Garcia is probably going to get the Urquidy treatment at the end of either it may even happen this offseason where they'll probably, you know, non-tender him, kind of like they did Urquidy, or they'll probably do it next offseason. But I'm willing to say that as of right now, Garcia's time with the Astros is probably done.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think you're right. I think Urquidy kind of got done wrong, honestly. The way that all that went down. But you know, the one thing I will say is we could have definitely used him this year. I mean, how many times did we need one more starter? And I'm not saying like, you know, the best starter ever. Just I'm talking about a guy that can go out there and throw 75 pitches, you know, and get quality pitching, you know, give up 3 runs or less. And, you know, we definitely needed that just with all the injuries we had. And unfortunately, you know, not only did we not have Urquidy, but he ended up going to the Tigers to go back with AJ Hinch. So, hey, good for him. I'm glad he was able to kind of resurrect a little bit of his career. And I know right now he's in the playoffs and they're looking good. So good for him. But at the same time, we're talking about Luis Garcia, and with the double Tommy John surgery, let's be honest. If he comes back and he comes back at all, what are you actually going to have? Because we're talking about two Tommy John surgeries back to back. And Chris, you and I, we were lucky enough to get press passes over to Sugarland and go see him pitch in one of his rehab starts. And I think after the first inning, the first thing I said was like, he is not ready. He's not even close to being ready. He did not look like a Major League Baseball pitcher at that point. I mean, heck, I could have gone up there and given up, 4 runs in the first inning, but it was a very rough start for him, and I know he had a whole lot of rough starts to the point where they even sent him back to Double A before they brought him up to Triple A and then put him on the big league squad. So, with Luis Garcia having this second Tommy John, I'm not, I guess, shocked because I don't think the first one was successful. But at the same time, it's like if he comes back and pitches for a Major League Baseball team again, he's going to be lucky. And, I will most definitely give him the kudos for that because he's going to have to put in more work than you can possibly imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's the surgery wasn't successful as much as it is was he rushed back? That's kind of like what I'm trying to figure out. And again, I don't have any insight to um, who makes that decision. Now, I'm sure as a player, which I've never been a player, but I'm sure that if I was a player and I was hurt, I would be itching like the second they, cleared me to start doing baseball activities, I'd be wanting to do baseball activities. Um, and like, and even if like you're not ready, if someone's like, hey, hey, Browse, how you doing? You think you can go? You'll be like, hell yeah, I'm ready to go. Put me on the mound tomorrow. And that's where your medical staff needs to step in and be like, hey, Browse, pump the brakes. I know you had a good session out there today, but we're gonna take it slow because it's not going to do you any good for you to go out there and blow your arm out again. And then here we are. So and I think that's kind of like the synopsis of the like we talked about on Thursday was what is going on with this medical staff? Who is it? The medical staff? Is it the GM? Is it Jim Crane? I would like to think, I would like to think that this entire organization has the health of its players as its number one priority. So, who is making the call for these guys to? Because you saw it with who was it? It wasn't just man, it wasn't just Arrighetti. Who was or no? I'm sorry, it wasn't just Garcia. Was it Arrighetti too? They came back
Yeah.
early, and he had to go back. He had to go back on the DL because he had issues with the arm. Now, granted, I want to say I don't know if did he have an arm issue was why he was hurt most of the season, or like I
Well,
can't remember. There were so many damn
it
injuries. It's
the Eric Getty was kind of a weird one because if you remember the first reason he went on the IL was because he got hit by a ball in batting practice.
That's right. That's what it was. Okay. Okay. So
But
yeah, I mean, so go ahead. Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was
No,
just
I
saying
was just
like
going to.
so. All right, so we're just gonna do this back and forth. No, so what I was saying is like I'm just trying to figure out like the medical staff has to step in because of course if you're a player you're chomping at the bit to get back out there. So, but like obviously it's pretty clear in my opinion, which I'm not a doctor. I also don't play one on TV that he probably came back too early, right? So, and there was like I said, I was a little bit worried for Javier as well because there was that one game where his fastball was like 91. I'm like, oh boy, don't tell me he's not ready. But then like this next start, so um, it sucks, man. And like it sucks because like now like he was one of the guys that you kind of like was gonna insert into this rotation for 2026. Now that more than likely Fromber's done as an Astro, which I mean we could talk about Fromber too. I mean, like that might be an episode in its own. Just maybe we'll wait to see who he signs with, and we'll do a farewell Fromber show or something. But I mean, like I said, you were looking to plug in Garcia in that rotation. That's now missing Fromber. Now Garcia's done for the season. So your rotation is essentially going to be, as of right now, Hunter Brown, Jason Alexander's a free agent, so you don't know what you're going to do with that. You have Christian Javier. So you have Hunter Brown and Christian Javier. Maybe Renel Blanco, depending on when he's going to be back. I would probably guess he probably won't be back till like June, since I think his Tommy John was like around May. So I'll probably think he might be one of those late July. He'll be back. So right now you're rolling into the offseason with two starters out of five. Hayden Wisniewski's he's also going to be one that you're going to have to hopefully delicately bring back. So you have two out of your five pitchers right now in your rotation penciled in for 2026. So this is a pretty big blow. I mean, for a guy that um, we didn't see him all of last year. We saw him for a little bit in 2024. My thing is, did the pitch clock for? I don't want to say the pitch clock caused a lot of injuries. I mean, it might have. I mean, but it definitely changed the way Garcia had to pitch. Because, like, remember, he had the Rockabye Baby or the Rocka Baby. I forgot what it was called, and then he had to completely change it because of the pitch clock. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that maybe the pitch clock played, the a huge role in where Garcia is now?
I mean, it's a possibility, but to be honest with you, I don't know if like the pitch clock is the, I guess, biggest culprit here. I'm going to say this with not having any background on what happened with our organization, because keep in mind, the Astros are one of the most tight-lipped organizations in all of baseball. They are not going to give you a peek behind the curtain. But the way it looks on the surface is that our entire medical staff is just absolutely to blame for a lot of this, because you've got guys that didn't get rehabbed correctly. You got guys that came back too fast. You've got, guys that just kept getting hurt over and over and over again. And that should never happen. I mean, look at every other Major League Baseball team. This stuff does not happen like that. Now, keep in mind, we walked into the season with a bunch of guys on the IL. I mean, we talked about it back in March, when we were in spring training, like, hey, this is our starting rotation, and we've got this guy, and this guy that are going to be coming up. We've got Lance McCullers Jr. that's coming back, Luis Garcia, JP France. We got all these guys, right? And not only were they not able to come back successfully, but a lot of them were behind schedule the entire time. So I don't know if it's the medical staff. I don't know if this is, maybe Crane or Dana Brown saying, hey, look, you need to push this faster than you possibly can, to get these guys back on the field. But I will say one thing, the whole Astros medical staff right now looks really, really bad. Like we talked about, like, hey, does Dana Brown need to stay? Does, Espada need to stay? Who needs to get fired? Who needs to stay on for this next year on staff? And right now, I'm telling you guys, we need to replace the entire medical staff if they indeed are to blame for all this. But I don't know if they are or not, because like I said, we don't get to see what happens in the background. So if they're getting pushed one way against their suggestions and they're saying like, hey, by the way, Garcia's not ready yet. Just go ahead and keep him and let him throw, three more, minor league games or whatever. And they're like, no, he's fine. Put him in there and push him to the max. Well, that's not cool, but we don't know what happened. So I'll leave it at that. It's very unfortunate with where he landed, and a number of the other Astros did too. So, but Chris, I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be an Astro moving forward, unfortunately. I really would like to see him. Now, you did ask me the question about the pitch clock, and I kind of just, skimmed over that briefly. But, it's I think the pitch clock has something to do with the way he was actually starting his approach. But if I remember correctly, they were even saying, like MLB was saying, that he couldn't do that anymore, pitch clock or not. So I don't know. I don't know, but I would like to think that that did not kill his major league career, one, and two, his performance as a pitcher coming into the season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sucks. But hey, you kind of made a pretty good transition in the middle of all that. So, I mean, that pretty much wraps up the, most recent news that's kind of taken place. I mean, so I guess the next question is what's the next step for the Astros? I mean, like obviously you're not going to see a lot of moves outside of maybe people, electing free agency. I would assume a lot of stuff's probably not going to take place until after the playoffs are done. Um, but we did talk about on Thursday about, about what we would do with the Spada. And surprisingly, through our social media pages and stuff, that got a lot of play. I mean, a lot of people had opinions, and man, I was pretty surprised by how much it was almost close to 50-50 on other Astros fans, as far as what they would do with a Spada. And again, like at the end of the day, do I think they're going to fire him? No. I mean, he's got 1 year on his contract. I mean, I don't want to say his saving grace, but the biggest thing that he has in his corner is the large amount of injuries this season. Um,
Yeah.
I'm going to go and say it right now. Go ahead and write the date down. 2026 is going to be a make or break for Espada. And I would even say to maybe a minor, small degree, even though we all gave Dana Brown really high grades, I think it's going to be a make or break in the eyes of the fans. I mean, like, here's the thing: like, I think I saw more fans wanting to get rid of Dana Brown than I did Espada, which kind of blew my mind because I like, we've all pretty much, spoke our piece about how we thought Dana Brown did a fantastic job this season. So, I mean, like, 2026, what's coming up right now. Browse, just as again, we don't have to get into. I would go trade for this guy. Here's my package. I would go sign this guy. Here's the contract I would offer him. But like, what do you think the Astros' next step is as far as going into the war room, preparing for the offseason? You've seen a handful of kids, from Sugarland right this past season. What is your kind of game plan going forward to say, okay, season's over, all the other teams or the playoff teams are doing their thing. What do we need to get our stuff together to prepare for whenever the offseason officially starts? What is going on in the Browns war room in preparation for the Astros MLB offseason for the 26th season? Kind of killed
In
myself
my
there.
per No, no, you're fine. In my personal opinion, the first thing that needs to be addressed in the room is, and you touched on it, what do you do with Espada? Now, I want to remind everybody that, Espada came in after Alex Cora, as our bench coach, went over to the Red Sox, and that was after our whole scandal and yada, yada, yada. So we've had Espada there. Now, don't get me wrong, he went and interviewed for a number of coaching vacancies, and he was always second in everybody's mind. And I even remember that when we had Dusty, and I'm like, okay, we knew Dusty wasn't going to be here forever, and it's like, okay, so I hope we can keep a spotter around, but he never got hired. So that kind of says something. And at the point that we are now, in seeing like this season as it played out, he just didn't do what I thought he was going to do. So I it might if I'm in the war room and I am sitting here and I'm either the owner or the GM, the very first thing I'm doing is I'm saying, Spada, thank you very much for your service. I'm going to go find a new general, or excuse me, a new manager for this baseball team. So
Okay,
that would
real
be
quick.
my number one move.
Okay, real quick. And that's fine. I mean, like, do you have? I mean, because like in when we talked about, or when I just talked about how I saw a lot of people's reaction on our social media pages, the almost the number one question I got after that is, okay, who's going to replace the spot? So, and again, this is kind of putting you on the spot, because I had somebody say, okay, do you try to go get AJ Hinch, or do you hand over the reins to, holy moly, I'm drawing a blank on his name. He was the other, on the Astros coaching staff. God, I can't remember his name, man. Good God. I think his last name is Lopez. Or no. So either him or somebody brought up Brad Osmus as well. I mean, so here's it. Go ahead. Go ahead. So, would you have an idea, or is this more of like a really high level? Okay, I would hire me a new manager.
If if I'm the owner of the team or the general manager,
We're in the
who I
Browns war
want,
room. Yeah,
you
Browns
were
is
in
the
my
owner of the
war room,
Astros.
then I'm
Yes.
going in and I'm throwing a contract in front of Buck Showalter. That's who I'm
Okay.
doing. And the reason I say that is Buck Showalter is a no messing around. We're not going to be friends. I don't care. I don't care if your name is Jose Altuve. You're playing for your position. That is what you were doing.
Okay.
I don't care if your name is Carlos Correa and you want to play third base. Well, congratulations. Guess what? You better go earn it. That's why I like Buck Showalter. That would be my first pick if I'm going to go for a manager of this team. Now, Buck, he might be retired and not even want to do it. But I'm just saying, you need somebody like that. If it's not going to be him, it's got to be somebody kind of like him that's going to actually go in there and take this team and say, listen, boys, look at the last two seasons. Look at what happened. You got swept out of the playoffs by the Tigers. You limped your way in there. You won the the AL West title on the last day against Seattle. And then this year, you not only did you blow the lead, but you looked like absolute garbage after the All-Star break. Didn't win the AL West, didn't make the playoffs, and now what do you have? So
Okay.
congratulations, you went to Cancun first. Good job. So that's what I'm saying. You need a Buck Showalter type of manager to go in there. And I'll say, even if Buck's not one of them, another one of those guys who is a special assistant for the Miami Marlins right now that is available is Skip Schumacher. I think Schumacher
Nope.
would
Nope.
come in.
Nope. 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 Schumacher is the new manager for the Rangers.
Okay, never
Yeah.
mind. So now, guess what? Now you've got that manager that I just talked about, and he's going to be playing against you all season. So there you go. Skip Schumacher is now for the Rangers. Jeez,
Yeah.
that sucks. Okay. So anyway, that is my point. Is you've got to have a guy that is more in your face, not like the friend of every single player out there. Don't get me wrong. You've got to have a little bit of player friendly attitude, but at the same time, you've got to go in there and say, hey, look, you don't deserve anything. You better earn everything when it comes to actually being on that field. And that's what it should be for Major League Baseball all the way around. So that's the way I feel about it. I don't know. If I'm wrong, please correct me.
No, I mean, everybody has their own opinion, and like I said, here I know I speak probably for myself and Browse over here. Uh, I I I enjoy the back and forth. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, "Hey, Browse, your opinion is different from mine. Shut up! I don't want to hear it. Let me mute you." No, I enjoy the back and forth. I mean, so, um, yeah, I mean. I don't like I said, I honestly think that Espada's gonna. I mean, Espada's under contract one more season. So why? I mean, like, if I'm the Astros, I mean, like, I get the the decision if they say, okay, man, um, you set a record for most players injured last season. We're going to give you 2026. No excuses. This is your shot. The bar. Like I said, we spoke about how in Houston the bar is way up here now. Let me get it in screen. Here we go, way up here now. Instead of, hey, let's just, this would be really good if we can just get into the playoffs. I mean, I think those days are over. Why? Because my owner of the Astros is saying the window is always open. So that means we are
Always.
it's World Series or bust. So if I'm if it's if we're here at the Marino War Room, my first thing is I'm looking at is, okay. I mean, like, do we need a ridiculous shakeup? If you would have asked me a week ago, I would have said absolutely. But now that I've kind of had time to kind of like take everything in, I've interacted with a bunch of people that interacted with us on the social media, and I've kind of seen like like I had the blinders on. I was like, man, oh, Spada. I mean, but like I'm okay with giving him one more year. That way there's no excuses. There's no, like you have little wiggle room. This is your maker. 2026 is your make or break. So now that I've gotten, okay, a spot is coming back. All right. You have got to go out. And I feel like there's a couple of guys on your roster, or maybe you saw come up from AAA. I think AJ Blue Ball deserves a shot to, you know, try to get
Agreed.
a spot in the rotation. Um, you're gonna have a handful of guys, and then like we talked about earlier, you're gonna have Wisniewski, and you're gonna have man, I'm drawing a blank on the other guy, Wisniewski and Blanco coming back sometime, maybe around midish of the season. So you're gonna need arms to get you through the initial 2 or 3 months of the season. And I feel like you don't need to go out and go spend money on whoever's the top guy. Like I think off the top of my head, I know Dylan Cease is available. I know that I think I think Michael King's gonna be a free agent, maybe if he doesn't do anything. But what I'm
Yes, he
saying is
is.
like you have the ability to kind of gamble on a couple of arms just to, because Hunter Brown right now is your ace. So what you need to do is kind of like a guy that I would kind of look at, and again, like I know I told you I didn't want to hear any names, like a gamble on a guy like Walker Bueller. I think that would be a perfect fit. A guy you can get on the decently cheap. He's not going to cost you over 10 million, right? So and he's a guy that is going to be busting his ass because he's probably going to be on a 1 year deal trying to earn his last shot of getting a multi-year deal. So and the Astros have shown that they could take pictures, look at Brandon Walter, look at Jason Alexander, and Walker
Charlie
Bueller
Morton.
was elite. Charlie Morton. Walker Bueller was elite a handful of years ago. I'm talking like Cy Young votes elite. So the first thing I'm looking at is, I've got to short my rotation, right? And also I've got to have depth in the minor leagues, which I think you have a handful of younger guys coming up in the minor leagues. You still have Ethan Pecco down there. You have Jose Fleury. You still have Uola down there. Guys that you can have that you don't want to rush, but you have, some younger arms, maybe, at the back end. Hopefully you don't need to see them unless they're killing it in AAA. But the next thing I would think of is what is my infield going to look like? And what is my outfield going to look like? Right now, like I feel like there's almost a log jam of like at almost every position. So Jake Myers had a great season and then he got hurt. So we need to decide, is Jake Myers what he did last year? Is that the real Jake Myers or is that his Chas McCormick breakout of 2023? And we've seen where Chas McCormick is now. You have Cam Smith that you're hoping is now learned. It's going to take all of his struggles and all of his successes from year one, carry that over to year two, build on it, and because like I said, come the All Star break, he was hitting almost 280, and he was looking like a stud, and then he fell off. Pitchers, he's got to learn to adapt as pitchers adapt to him. So so our outfield, I mean, like I have to look at the contracts. I really haven't looked at them as far as like Sanchez. So you have Jacob Melton. Did Jacob Melton impress you enough to where, hey, he's got a legitimate shot? So what I'm trying to figure out is these guys, Jacob Melton, Bryce Matthews, are these guys coming up, Zach Cole, are they worth a big enough chance for me not to go out and sign an outfielder? Because now you've got the Jose Abreu money off the books. You have Fromber's money that's going to come off the books. I think Montero's money is already off, but if not, you've
Yep.
got Montero's money
No,
coming
it's
off the
coming off
books.
this season.
So some of that money is going to go back into arbitration. So so it's not like we have all this money to play with because some of that's going to go back to arbitration. So that's what I'm looking at is the youngsters that we saw come up. I like guys like Bryce Matthews. Is he a guy we want to hang on to, or is he a guy that we can potentially? He's our only top 100 prospect in the system right now. Um, is he a guy that where is he going to play? Because now you've got Altuve at second, you got Pena at short, You've got Correa at third. Now you have Isak Paredes who's healthy. So where is Bryce Matthews going to fit in all this? Are you going to make room for him, or are you going to use him for a trade piece to get you a younger, controllable player? So these are the questions I have to look at if I'm in the war room. Again, that episode where we're going to sit down and completely, like we did last offseason, where hey, here's the guys I'm going to sign to bring into the team. Here's the contracts. Right now we're just stepping into the shallow end. We're kind of getting everything. We're setting up for the big offseason, breakdowns and stuff that we plan on doing. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, because I've heard people say, "Oh, we'll just trade Christian Walker." Okay, I mean that's
Well,
great. I mean, but my question is, how much value does he really have outside of being great defensively? Offensively, he took a step back, which I understood. He led the Astros in home runs and RBIs. Well, he batted cleanup most of the time, so that's where most of your RBIs are going to come from. But but he still hit under 240. So how much value are you going to get for a guy who's about to be 34, 35, making 20 something plus $1 million a year, that has regressed, at least batting average wise, every season the last 3 seasons? So it's not going to be as simple as, this is not MLB The Show where I can go just trade Christian Walker to the Pirates and all that money's off the books. Hey, thanks. All right, Paredes, you can go play first base. So there's a lot more that has to, if I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, where can I add talent? Obviously, you start with starting pitching. I feel like you also need a couple of legit bullpen arms as well. But I'm also thinking of my younger guys, Melton, Cole, Bryce Matthews. Where do those guys fit in the next 2 seasons? And if their role is here, then great. Then you give them the playing time that they need. If not, then you need to go bring in an actual legit major league outfielder. And I think you can have Jake Myers battle out Sanchez for that last outfielder spot. Let them fight it out. I mean, why not? Let them fight it out. So there's a lot. There's a lot, and I don't want to sit here and make this an hour-long episode. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. Like, I'm at again, this is a very high level looking down. What can we do? And like I said, we'll get knee deep into it. Like, season's only been over for like a week, so we still have a little bit of a
right.
long way. Browse, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I used a lot of my time
Okay.
just to talk about the manager, but and I'm
No, you're
not going
good.
to
Go ahead.
draw
Go
this
ahead. Go ahead.
down. But what I was going to say is, like, in the war room, what am I looking at? I'm looking at overhauling a whole lot of this pitching, because if we're looking at it, we've got a ton of infielders, we've got a ton of outfielders, to the point that you've already made, like, where we are going to have guys fighting for positions. That's fantastic. That's a good position to be in. So we might even be able to trade one or two of these pieces if we need to bolster our pitching staff. And right now, I think our starting pitching rotation and also our bullpen both need help. We're banking on having Hader back, so I don't think we're going to need a closer. He should be back, assuming everything goes perfectly, but we've already talked about that. I think bolstering the pitching staff and spending money there is going to be our number one priority moving forward.
Awesome. Well, guys, I think that's pretty much going to wrap us up for tonight. I think we've been a little bit long, but hey, I can talk about this all night long. Again, thank you for everybody that took the time to listen to this, guys. If you guys can help us out, like I said, we're 2 YouTube subscribers away from hitting the magical 100. Again, for us, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I know for a lot of other people, that's like, oh, it's 100, whatever. But hey, for us, it's a big deal. So I would appreciate it if you guys took the time, to subscribe. You can interact with us on Facebook, X. We're now on the TikTok, so we've been doing the TikToks now. So now we're hip with all the kids now. So, guys, I don't have anything else. Yeah, the TikToks. I'm really showing my age here. But, guys, this is the Juice Box Heroes. I'm one of your hosts, Chris. That's PK. And we will catch you guys again on Thursday. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good one.
For the record, I'm not PK, but I'll take it.
Now, it's just so tough these days. I told you I'm getting old.